Hello, my beautiful friends. I am so excited today to talk about Virgo, the sound of Virgo in the voice, specifically the moon sound. Okay, I had a really great question and I want to clarify this. So, can people who are not moon sign Virgos sound like a Virgo? Yes, absolutely. And this goes for all of the sounds or the signs. If you're a Gemini rising, could you sound like that beat in the sound of your voice? Absolutely, 100%. Is that naturally, like if you're sitting in your true sound, would that be what you sounded like? No. Is it what's comfortable? Yes, absolutely. I talked to someone a while ago and I was like, ooh, she sounds very Scorpio, like just because of the movement as she was speaking, like the sound of her voice was creating a lot of movement in my body. So I took a look at her chart and she's actually a Sagittarius moon, but was right on the edge of Sagittarius. And as we talked and I got more a clarification, just not necessarily from the words that she was saying, but the feeling of her voice is that it felt safer. This is going to sound crazy. It felt safer to be in the Scorpio sound than it felt to be in the Sagittarius sound. And one of the reasons why this is, even though Scorpio is like really wanting to be hidden and not seen, like all these things, so you would think that people wouldn't necessarily go to a Scorpio sound. But our moon sign and our sound in our moon sign is the most vulnerable sound that we can make because we are expressing our essence through sound. So when we sit in our true sound, that is when we are the most vulnerable. And there's a big difference between vulnerability and exposure. When we sit in true vulnerability, that's when we're actually sitting in our most powerful. So there's a big difference between vulnerability and exposure. Exposure leads to like pain and suffering. Vulnerability leads to leadership. It leads to power. It leads to healing. Like, can we still be hurt in vulnerability? Sure. Are we going to experience like damage like we would in exposure? No. So that's like the big difference between the two. So let's talk about Virgo. Let's talk about Virgo, baby. Like, I don't know why that song is coming to my mind, but let's talk about it. Let's get really clear on what it is, which I love that I just said that because Virgo is super clear. They're very precise. They're very detailed. I'm thinking of a specific friend of mine who's very much a Virgo moon, and she is sitting in that, and her T's are crisp, her S's are crisp. Like there is no denying what she is saying. And a Virgo moon, when they're sitting in their sound, is the most crisp with their speech and like how their words are being formed. I love it. I love it a lot. And Virgo moons that feel really confident are going to sit in that sound. It's an earth sound, so you would naturally think that it's going to be heavier. But as I've shared through some of the videos, each section of the sounds, like fire, water, earth, I'm just forgetting the other one. Fire, water, earth, was air. I don't know if I'm forgetting air. Anyway, of all those sounds, like each one is so funny because it's so funny that I forgot air, because Virgo sounds the airiest or the lightest of the earth sounds. Like of all the earth sounds, Virgo is going to sound the lightest. So you've got air sounds that feel heavier. You've got water sounds that feel the heaviest. You've got signs from each section that create the most movement. Forward movement, like Scorpio definitely creates that like forward movement and really creates it in the body. Right? Sagittarius, same thing. That's a fire sign, and it really creates that like that movement, like forward movement, and encourages people to move and to change. Like my daughter was upset last night. She's a Sagittarius moon. And we were talking about this, and she was feeling really passionate about something. And I'm like, I know when she's being sassy because she's being funny. And I know when she's being sassy And when she's being sassy and she's really serious about something, she steps into her moon sound like nobody's business. And she's like, listen. And she starts talking, and then all of a sudden my chest starts getting really, really hot. And I'm like, whew, okay, backing up. Let's take a second. Let's talk about this, right? So Virgo is the lightest feeling and the lightest sounding of all of the earth signs, and it has that very detailed crisp. So even when people are speaking in their moon sign and they're like clearly sitting in their Virgo moon, I will hear like not necessarily spaces in their speaking, but I will hear spaces in the sound, if that makes sense. So I was asking this way, what musical artist, a musician, vocalist, accurately portrays this? So I want to say this: not all celebrities are always sitting in their moon sound. Not all of them are necessarily always singing it. I have some that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just listened and I was like, wow, this is like really fascinating, because she was not sitting in her sound, but she has made a lot of money. Not all the way in it. So there's a lot of vulnerability, right, in singing, a lot of vulnerability in sitting your moon sound. Anyway, that is for a totally another discussion. So as I asked what would be like, who is the best example, I heard Dolly Parton, and I actually started hearing the song 9 to 5. So this is perfect. So I want you to go check out the song 9 to 5. Like even the clip of it and like the how she sings it, it sounds very Virgo, and it's like super perfect. So I like the comparing, like if we take two different artists comparing the same song, right, from two different moon signs, how differently does it sound? So in my video on Libra, we talked about Anne Hathaway and Kelly Clarkson. And on the Kelly Clarkson show, and like how different the sound was for, shoot, I forget what song it was that Anne Hathaway sang on that song, but it was just like something about a breakup. Anyway, so I love this because Kelly Clarkson also did a cover for 9 to 5, and it sounds so much different. And you can hear really clearly because Kelly Clarkson is gritty. Like she has this grittiness, right? In her voice, a really, really earthy sound. And Dolly Parton is much like lighter, has a much lighter sound, but it's also very crisp. And so you can hear very clearly the difference between the two. So I would highly recommend going in and listening to 9 to 5 from Dolly Parton, even just for a little bit. Like you don't have to listen to the whole song. And then going in and listening to Kelly Clarkson's cover of 9 to 5 and really hear the difference between the two. So I really love this because our moon sign, the sound of our voice is literally there to help you and support you in sharing your message with the world and sharing the feeling that your message is wanting to create, and it is creating when you're in the sound of your sign. Like mine is Leo. What am I wanting to encourage? I'm wanting to encourage expression, right? And so the sound of my voice helps encourage expression for other people. The sound of Virgo helps encourage the expression of preciseness and the expression of this detailedness. Does it necessarily look like a detailed oriented person? No, not necessarily at all, but how that plays out in their voice, which I really love this. Like, is everybody that's going to come to me for work on their voice going to be sound like me when they're done? I hope not. Like my desire is no. Definitely not. Do I want you to sound like you and be expressive in your sound? Yes. The people that are coming to the Virgos for help in whatever field they're working in, they're helping them become detailed about that specific thing that they're working on. They're helping them become precise in that thing. Kelly Clarkson's voice really helps ground people in this sound and ground people in this message that she's sharing. And I just really, really love her. Obviously, I've shared a couple of her things, but so these are a couple of answers. So I want to know, comment below, what stood out to you in this video. What did you think of the difference between Dolly Parton sound and Kelly Clarkson sound? Can you hear the difference between those two songs as you listen to their voices? Okay, I love you. That is all for today. Talk to you next time. Bye.